A muffled moan cut through the silence of the night, echoing through the empty corridors of the house. A mother approached the room from which the sound came, her heart pounding and her breath held. Before starting, I invite you to subscribe to the channel so as not to miss our magnificent future stories. Corinne had always believed in second chances. When she met Morgan, his smile and kindness won her over immediately. He seemed like the perfect man, the one who would share her joys and sorrows with her. The first years of their marriage were a dream, full of laughter and plans for the future. Yet as time passed, the idyll began to crumble. Morgan, initially affectionate and caring, began to show signs of addiction to alcohol and drugs. At first, Corinne thought it was just a difficult period, but the situation quickly deteriorated. Morgan's addiction transformed him into an unrecognizable, violent, and unpredictable person. Corinne found herself trapped in a nightmare. Not only did she have to endure Morgan's physical and mental abuse, but she also feared for her two daughters, Millie and Susan. Every day was a struggle to maintain some semblance of normality and protect her girls. There came a moment when Corinne made the most difficult decision of her life, leaving Morgan. So, with the help of a lawyer, she obtained a divorce and custody of her daughters. For the first time in years, she breathed a sense of freedom. The peace, however, was short-lived. One day, Morgan showed up at Corinne's door, begging to see little Susan, who at the time was just 9 months old. Despite her reservations, Corinne decided to give him this chance. She thought that after all, he had his legal rights too. The day started as usual. Corinne was busy at work. Suddenly, her boss called her, informing her that there was an emergency at her house. Corinne saw the many attempts made by her mother to warn her, and immediately, with her heart in her mouth, she called her. She rushed to the hospital, where she found her daughter covered in tubes, doctors frantically rushing around her. The doctor on duty informed her that they had been trying to resuscitate the little girl for 20 minutes without success. Corinne felt the world collapse around her. She fell to his knees and began to pray desperately. Miraculously, after a few minutes, Susan's heart began to beat again. Doctors informed Corinne that her little girl was suffering from shaken baby syndrome, a serious condition caused by violent movements that can damage a child's brain. This trauma is often the result of being shaken forcefully, causing serious internal injuries. Despite the medical evidence, Morgan denied any responsibility for the incident, refusing to admit that he had shaken the little girl. Unfortunately, however, the damage was now irreversible, and the consequences of that violence would have marked Susan's life forever. Susan was released from hospital after weeks of intensive care. Corinne found herself having to face a new reality, learning every day how to care for a child with special needs. She left her job to dedicate herself completely to her little girl, facing numerous obstacles and learning to navigate the complicated world of healthcare. The anger and frustration towards Morgan and herself were immense, but Corinne found comfort in her faith and inner strength. Corinne's life changed radically. She encountered new challenges, but also moments of hope. Every day was a battle, but also a victory. She learned to focus on what she could control and let go of what she couldn't change. Her special daughter became her center, her warrior. Despite diagnoses of blindness, cerebral palsy, and gastroparesis, Susan continued to fight, and Corinne was by her side every step of the way. Every morning, she woke up with the determination to make Sousa's life as normal as possible. She learned to interpret her little girl's needs through small signals, developing an almost telepathic bond with her. Often during sleepless nights, Corinne cradled Susan, whispering words of comfort and hope. Even in the darkest moments, when tiredness seemed to overwhelm her, she found the strength to carry on while looking her little girl in the eyes. One day, when everything finally seemed stable, the little creature became seriously ill again. Corinne rushed her to the emergency room, where doctors told her the little girl had organ failure and was dying. Heartbroken, she prayed desperately once again, and amazingly, like the previous time, Susan came back to life. After 88 days in the hospital, she was finally stable enough to return home. Corinne, although exhausted and tried, found new strength in herself. Their life was a constant struggle, but also a testament to the power of love and resilience. Every day was an opportunity to prove that despite everything, life could still be beautiful. It would be so precious if you put a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other touching stories like this. Corinne's story teaches us that you should never leave a child alone with a person who has physically or mentally abused the mother, especially if there is a possibility that he is under the influence of drugs. Corinne and Susan continue to fight every day, finding strength in each other. The love was so deep that every little conquest of the little girl became a great victory. When Susan managed to smile her first smile after months of suffering, Corinne felt an indescribable joy. Every step forward, no matter how small, was a triumph against adversity. The young mother's dedication was total. She often sacrificed her own needs to ensure that Susan had all the care and affection she needed. The community around Corinne also began to notice her extraordinary courage. Neighbors and friends offered to help, donating time and resources to support the family. This support not only relieved some of the practical pressures, but also gave Corinne the emotional strength to keep fighting. Corinne and Susan's story became a source of inspiration for many, showing how unconditional love and resilience can overcome even the toughest trials. And have you ever had to face a challenge that seemed insurmountable? How did you find the strength to carry on?